Some show up at Keeneland just to be beautiful, some for the burgoo. Me, it's because the best handicapping challenge on God's green earth is right here in Kentucky. Star horses come from Florida, California, and New York, Arkansas, and Louisiana, all to what undoubtedly is the greatest horse racing melting pot in America.
Into the stretch at Keeneland, and Flight Line just moves right by. Life is good.
Win here and you've done something. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's Keeneland. Now, let's get handicapping. Hey there, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now as we have the Keeneland look ahead. 2 more editions left in this 2023 spring meet. Of course, the penultimate day of the meet coming up tomorrow on Thursday. So we will preview the 9 race card for April 27th in this edition. Also look ahead to Friday, closing day of the meet. Everything must go in terms of carryovers, mandatory payouts on Friday for the final day of the meet before racing shifts to Churchill Downs on Saturday, and we get set for the Kentucky Derby build-up. So a lot of exciting times in racing right now, and of course we still have 2 more good days of racing at Keeneland. Weather-wise tomorrow, let's cross our fingers. The forecasters are predicting 80% chance of showers, but those beginning around 5 o'clock and into the evening hours. Friday looks like it's going to be wet. Thursday, though, however, looks like we might get away with this card. With the 9-race program beginning at 1 o'clock, we might get out of town on Thursday, staying on the grass. That's key. We've got 4 turf races on this Thursday card. So forecast for temps in the 70s. Again, 80% chance of rain, but the hourly forecast that I'm looking at right now says about 5 o'clock on. I hope the forecasters are doing better than I am in my forecast of the horses this meet. So we'll cross our fingers for some good weather for the Thursday card leading up. Jockey trainer races are tight, as we usually have here at Keeneland during the course of a short 15-day meet like this. Tyler Gaffalione picked up a win today. He's up to 18 on the meet. Luis Saez next up with 15. Irad Ortiz with 12. And Brian Hernandez, another win today. He's up to 10. So right now it looks like Tyler and Saez, 18 and 15 at the top for the jockey standings. They'll be the ones who probably duke it out. Wesley Ward had a win on the card today, but not a great day for Wesley. We'll talk about that in a second. Brad Cox also had a win. So they are at 11 and 10 respectively. Ward 11, Cox 10 going into the final 2 days of the meet. Brendan Walsh not out of the woods here in terms of having a chance to win the trainer's title. He's got 7. That's 4 back, but he's got 8 starters over the next 2 cards. Brendan Walsh has 3 on Thursday, 5 on Friday. If he gets hot and he's had a great meet, you can't count out Brendan Walsh as a possibility for leading trainer. But as far as Ward and Cox go, 11-10 Ward leads. Ward has a major advantage. He's got 2 in Thursday, 5 in on Friday. Brad Cox only has 1 in each of the next 2 days, 1 Thursday, 1 Friday. 7 starters for Ward, 2 for Cox, and he's 1 up in the standings. It should be Wesley Ward's title, I would think, for leading trainer here in the spring meet. Now, we talked about Wesley Ward winning 1 race on the card today. He had horses in 5 races, 4 of them heavily favored. I will tell you this, of the 5 horses Wesley Ward ran today, I picked 4 of them on top. If you've handicapped for any amount of time in your career, you know what happened, right? I picked him 4 out of 5 times. The only one he won was the one I didn't pick him on top in. That's the kind of meet it's been. That's the kind of day it was. Wesley Ward, again, with 1 win out of the 5, but he had horses beat at 4-5, 3 times. 3 different 4-5 shots lost today for Wesley Ward, including the 9-year-old turf sprinter Bound for Nowhere, who was back in Allowance Company, Turf Sprint Allowance Company. The veteran making his 9-year-old return. Ran a good second, just couldn't get to the winner. But one of 3 Wards that were odds-on prices who lost on the program at 4-5. So you look at today's card and you say, okay, all those heavy favorites got beat. It must have been chaos. Not really. 7 of the 8 winners were 5-1 or less. So they're like the next logical horse up. The favorites weren't winning, but the horses that were 5-1 or less, they were kind of that, easy second choice on the tote, clear second choice on the tote. I had a lot of success today. So let's look ahead to the Thursday program now, again, for April the 27th. Here's a big picture look at a 9-race card at Keeneland. It's going to get underway at 1 o'clock with the pick 5 in race number 1. No carryovers in the pick 5 or the super high 5. We had a nice super high 5 carryover on the Wednesday card. That was taken down in the 9th race today, or in the 8th race today. So no super high 5 carryover in the finale. Early pick 4 will start in race number 2. The pick 6, no big carryovers to talk about there. Pick 6 starts in race number 4. Late pick 5 will start in the 5th. So that's a swing race. Race number 5 will get you out of the early pick 5 and into the late pick 5. Always a key there. And the Keeneland Turf pick 3 starts in race number 5. So we'll handicap that 5th race, see what we come up with in that spot. Could be key on how you structure your wagers. Late pick 4 starts in race number 6. And then we've got the Keeneland Turf pick 3 wrapping up in races 7 and 9. No stakes races on the program. Let's get handicapping here for the Thursday card. Again, 70 degrees, the forecasted high. 80% chance of showers, but not to come until later in the day. So we should start with fast and firm on the condition scale. So let's get going in race number 1. I was going to make this one of my 3 key plays of the day because of the price. 15-1 in the morning line on number 1, Giant Awakening. Keith DeSormo is a trainer who can get a price horse in. I think Giant Awakening is going to show some speed in this race from the rail based on a good workout here at Keeneland back on April, or at Churchill back on April 22nd. Also, first start of the year for Giant Awakening. A lot of times when horses come off a layoff, they're fresh, they're keen, they're geeked up from being through the pre-race festivities for the first time in a while, and they tend to get into the race a little bit sooner than maybe it shows on paper. I think the one Giant Awakening at a nice price can get towards the front, if not on the lead in this particular spot. There's not a lot of early speed in the race. The 7 Platinum Ghost, you might assume to try to go to the front after showing some pace at Turfway in the debut, but trainer Scott Hansen takes the blinkers off this one. It's been gelded since the last start as well. You take the blinkers off sometimes, and a horse just doesn't show as much early interest. So there's no speed at all out of some of these horses that have run. Wesley Ward's got the 3 Kasimba in here. Again, the Ward horses were beat at short prices today. He did win one with Rodriguez in the saddle. This is the team that comes back with this first-time starter by Canteros. This is only a $5,000 yearling purchase, a 2-year-old purchase, I should say. In trade, 2-year-old in trade. No, actually, this horse was purchased in 2023. So this horse was actually purchased just a couple months ago and for $5,500. So they're debuting for 20 here at Keeneland. I don't know what to make of Kasimba. Gabby's got that one on top. Tom's got that one on top. It could be some trust in Wesley Ward in a race where there's not much else to trust. Welcome back to Nick Zito. He's got the 5 in here, Hyper Speed. Always good to see Nick Zito back at Keeneland. Doesn't have many horses anymore, but Nick Zito, one of my favorite people in racing. Always happy to see him back at Keeneland. So Hyperspeed will be rooting for that one, but not a lot to like on paper from what I've seen. So I'll use the 1 Awakening, the 3 Kasimba, and the 8 Manchester. If you're playing multi-race wagers, not a high ton of trust in here. I thought Zito's horse gets a little shot. Maybe even go 4 deep in here. You hate to do it in an 8-race, in an 8-horse field, but there are probably some bigger favorites here coming up later in the card. And there's a low trust factor in this first race. I mean, let's just be honest. They're bottom level maiden claimers, the ones who have run, haven't shown much. I like taking that 15-1 shot in there, Giant Awakening. We're going to get some shorter prices, though, probably coming up. So that's why if you can spread a little bit in the opener, maybe you can catch one in your pick 5 to start things off. Pick 4 starts in race number 2, and I think it's Wesley Ward territory in here. This is a 5.5 furlong turf sprint for the 2-year-olds. We don't get many of these. Ward has dominated the ones we have had. He's got the 8 Candy Maker, the 10 Fandom, both bred well for the grass. Both have top turf sprint jockeys. Joel Rosario on Candy Maker. Fandom gets Irad Ortiz Jr. Both these jockeys ride, I believe, just over 30%, 28 to 30% in Keeneland turf sprints. They're by far the 2 best jockeys percentage-wise in turf sprints. So that alone, you're kind of like looking at who's Irad riding, who's Rosario riding in these turf sprints. When you're both on the Wesley Ward horses, it makes a lot of sense. 8 and 10. Really, I don't have anything to split them. They both worked well. They're both showing bullets. They're both bred to be good on the turf. They both have top riders. If you're trying to decide between the two, it's really a guess. I think this is one of those where you just do take both of them if you're playing the multi-race wagers. Of course, the pick 4 starts in this race. As far as we look across the way, it's Candy Maker on top for Kim, myself, and Tom. Fandom on top for Scott. Gabby's going with the 7 Calhoun, a first-time starter by Uncle Mo for Phil Antonucci. This one comes up from Florida with some good works at Payson. We did see a 2-year-old win on the card today with workouts from Florida. We talked about this on the show last night. But the overwhelming percentage, I mean, like over 90% of the winners in 2-year-old spring meet races here at Keeneland have a work over the track here in Kentucky at Keeneland beforehand. So on the turf, maybe it's not as important to get that work over the track because none of these horses have raced on the turf or even worked on the turf at Keeneland. So if you're going to take a horse who's coming from like Palm Beach Downs, like Calhoun is, on the turf, probably much more likely, I would say. to become a winner here at Keeneland than one who comes and races on the dirt for the first time at Keeneland without the local work. So I still prefer to see a local work, and I'm not going to try to beat 2 Wesley Wards. It might be one of them, but if you're going to beat 2 of them, you better get paid. So the price on the 7, Calhoun, my third choice in here, Gabby's top pick. I get no argument with somebody who takes a nice price there. If you get 10, 12 to 1, that's fine. But if you're going to beat 2 Wesley Wards with Rosario, with Irad riding, I think you didn't need double-digit odds. I would not play any horse in this race below 10 to 1 to beat both those Wards. I think you use both of them in the early pick 4 and pick 5. So we spread a little in race number 1. We go 2 deep in race number 2. And that brings us next up to the third race on the card. And this is a maiden special weight in race number 3, going about 7 furlongs. Brad Cox got the 2 in here. Arden's Assault, that's where I'm going to land. Tom Leach also has that one on top. Some love second for Gabby and Kim on that one. But this is a race where, there's a little bit more discrepancy. We've got 4 different horses on top amongst the 5 public handicappers. The 2, the 5, the 6, and the 7 all get play as far as top choices in just the 7-horse field. So 4 different horses in a 7-horse field picked on top. Maybe not the tap-in putt that some people might think with the short field. I do like the 2 Arden's Assault in here best. Coming out of a longer race at Fairgrounds in the debut, they'll shorten the distance and add blinkers. That could be necessary for a horse who's going sprint to route now, or route to sprint. Get in the race a little bit earlier. Showed some late interest last time down there at Fairgrounds. So Arden's Assault, top pick here. I like the aggressive jockey Luis Saez. That's a good pairing. Those 2 have done well together over the years and at the meet. 45% win rate when Luis Saez and Brad Cox team up, according to DRS stats over the last year since 2022 and 2023. So I like the jock assignment with the aggressive rider. They put the blinkers on. I'll take Arden's Assault, but, we're not even talking Union Harmony here. A horse who's got some really good workouts. First time starting filly by Union Rags. Brendan Walsh has had a fabulous meet. Brendan Walsh and Ian Wilkes really are the 2 trainers who have had the most success that you may not have expected coming into this meet. I mean, when we start the meet, you think, okay, Brad Cox is going to have a good meet. The Mike Makers, the Todd Pletchers, Chad Brown, those guys are going to win races. We know Wesley's going to win races, especially in the spring here at Keeneland. But you didn't expect Brendan Walsh to have 7 wins coming in here to the final 2 days. And I believe Ian Wilkes picked up his 6th win today. Wilkes has had a fantastic meet too. So hats off to those 2 trainers. Anything they send out is live. So do not be surprised if Union Harmony getting Tyler Gaffleone aboard for Brendan Walsh. They've been fabulous at the meet together. This horse could be a runner first time out of the box. There's some options in this race. I went with Arden's Assault on top, but certainly 2, 5, 6, 3. Those are all live horses. And of course, as you look across the handicapper selectors box, 2, 5, 6, 3, 7. Fast and Happy also gets a top pick in here. Tom Drury's had a nice winner at the meet. He hasn't had a lot of starters, but this Run Happy filly showed a little bit in her 2 starts at Turfway. She also turns back from a 2-turn race. No blinkers added here in the case like we have with the Cox horse, number 2 Arden's Assault. So I didn't mention, just from a pedigree geek standpoint, number 1, Patience Worth, coming out of the races at Tampa by Medaglia d'Oro out of Hysterical Lady, who was a really, really nice distaff for Hysterical Lady. Ran in the Breeders' Cup at Monmouth, if memory serves me, back in 2007 on a rainy day. But Hysterical Lady, really nice distaffer. So this is a well-bred filly in a race where there are a lot of good options. Race number 3, I've got Arden's Assault on top. But if you wanted to spread your wings a little bit in there, you would not get a big argument from me on Arden's Assault. Let's go to the 4th race on the card. Let you know this is where the pick 6 starts, races 4 through 9. Pick 6 races on a 9-race program. I got a lot of numbers. It looks like a Chinese takeout menu at the top of my past performances here. 2, 5, 9, 7, 10, 11, I think are all viable options in here. That means 6 of them. I mean, there are 6 horses you could consider here to start the pick 6 in this 11-horse field. Let's see how the handicappers have it across the board here. I said 2, 5, 9, 7, 10, 11. There's a 2, there's a 10, there's a 7. I didn't even use the 4, Fast Gal, amongst my 6 deep, and Kim's got that one on top. So if there was a race where you might consider the all button or going super duper deep, this would be the one on the card. Number 2, Cami Cat was my choice in here because I just think with so many contenders that what you want to do is take out the most variables that you can, right? If there's a lot of different horses who you think can win the race, what's the easiest scenario for a horse to win here? I think Cami Cat gets the lead, goes to the front. You don't have to worry about traffic. You don't have to worry about how competitive the field is. If she just goes out and gets the lead, she might go wire to wire. She's drawn well in the 2-post and it has that little like nibbler breaks out angle that I like. And you could use this at Keeneland or any racetrack that you play once this meet's over. But if you have a horse who continuously lost maiden races but ran pretty well, like this filly, Cami Cat was 5 for 10 in the money in her first 10 starts without a win. In that 11th win, when she finally won, this nibbler who was just getting little pieces put it all together and won in romping style, dominated by 4.5 lengths. The nibbler breaks out. They didn't just break their maiden barely and find a field that they could finally beat. They actually put it together and destroyed a field. I like that angle. It works no matter where I've handicapped over the past 30 years or so. So Cami's Cat is one of those nibbler breaks out angles that I like here. I'm going to take the shot that the 2 goes wire to wire here. Gerardo Corrales, a good speed jockey, should get the lead easily. The 1 Spirit Catcher has no speed whatsoever. 3's not that fast next door. Should get the rail easily. I don't know about the lead easily because there's not a lot of other speed in this race. I think she goes straight to the front, but should get right to the rail right away. So Cami Cat takes all the variables out. So even in a race where there's 6, 7 deep in here that you might consider, I think we do have the right horse on top. So let's go with Cami Cat as our top choice here in race number 4. Scott's also got that one on top, but nobody else mentioning Cami Cat. So we might get a fair price here. You know, we're not looking at a huge favorite or anything like that. And I don't even know if this horse will be favored. The 72 buyer last time out probably is enough to get this horse favoritism on the tote board. Everybody else's 10 points or lower. So while I'm not a big speed figure aficionado, I realize their impact on the tote board. So the 2 Cami Cat probably does go favorite in a pretty wide open race. You just don't want to take too short of a price. But if you can get 3-1 on this filly, I think she's worth the win bet. Otherwise, you're looking at trifectas, right? Big field, a lot of contenders, a horse you like on top. So play the 2 over 4, 5, 6 different horses to run second or third. You can get a lot of bingo in there for 10, 20 bucks, depending on, if you play 50-cent dollar tries, something like that. If you play multi-race wagers and you want to get a lot of coverage in this race, you might catch yourself a price. It's pretty competitive there. Race number 4, Cami Cat, the top choice. Okay, 5th race on the card. We talked about this when we set things up earlier. Pick 5 starts here. The early pick 5 ends here. The turf pick 3 starts here. So there's a lot cooking here in race number 5. Now, I'd like to tell you I've got a long shot play in this race, and I'm really geeked up for it. But I've got the favorite, and I think this horse looks pretty solid in the Gray Wizard. Mile and a half turf allowance race here. I love the pedigrees when you get a Galileo, a Dynaformer, those kind of names in the running lines. Those horses want the mile and a half. Nobody has more mile and a half turf wins as a trainer here at Keeneland going back the last 15 years than Graham Motion. And he sends out the Gray Wizard. I would expect this horse will easily get the mile and a half. Ran second in the Hollywood Turf Cup at the mile and a half distance, second in the Jockey Club Invitational, major stakes. No matter what track you go to, from California to New York, this horse has run really well against top competition in a mile and a half. I trust the 4, the Gray Wizard. I think this horse is probably a single, even though there are other good options in here. The 1, Kitten Mischief, looks good on paper. The 9 in here, Sir for Sure, is a bit of Canadian royalty. Sir for Sure, 4-year-old gelding, makes the first start as a 4-year-old, but this Mark Casse trainee closed his 3-year-old season by winning the final leg of the Canadian Triple Crown. Sir for Sure won the Breeders' Stakes, which is the turf end of the Triple Crown, at Woodbine. So this horse ran in the Queen's Plate, ran a good third, lost the rider in the second leg of the Triple Crown on the dirt at Fort Erie, then came back and won the series finale in the Canadian Triple Crown last year. So Sir for Sure, a classy horse. It's cool to see these kind running at Keeneland in a Lowndes Company. But again, at a mile and a half, I think the Gray Wizard stands out here. I think 7 or 8 to 5 in Nick Tamero's morning line. Can't argue with that at all. I think that's probably going to be the price. But exacta-wise, 4 over the 1, the 9, 5, 6, horses like that, I think, are horses who could run under in race number 5. But this is a swing race and the start of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, where I think you just single the 4, the Gray Wizard. Wicked Fast gets a lot of play, though. Wicked Fast picked more on top than the Gray Wizard in here. The 5, Wicked Fast, is a Mike Maker trainee coming out of the McDermott, the McKnight, the Pan American. Ran through all the big races down at Gulfstream this winter, but hasn't won in a while. I mean, this is going back to June until Wicked Fast has a victory in a Lowndes Company at Belmont. First start over the course here at Keeneland for the son of Tourist. But we know Mike Maker, he's got the second most mile and a half turf wins here at Keeneland, right behind Graham Motion. So no surprise that Wicked Fast is part of the mix in here, but Wicked Fast has got a win in January, and I just think has a little bit better form Speed figures will tell you that the 5 ranks right up there, though, running in the 90s on the buyer scale. So maybe there's not that big of a gap between the 4 and the 5 in terms of the speed figures, and that's what's luring a lot of the attention in with the others. But to me, I think it's all about the Gray Wizard. I'll take my chances with Gray Emotion going 1.5 miles on the grass. Single for me in race number 5. Let's go to the 6th race on the program, and this is going to be the first of our key plays of the day. Non-winners of 2 claimers go in this one, $50,000 claiming level, 1 mile on the 16th. One of my handicapping angles, like I told you, but like the nibbler breaks out, the horses kind of close, and then blows them away. Those are good horses to bet back. I don't care if you're talking about Charlestown, Delta Downs, Santa Anita. That's a good angle no matter where you play. It carries no matter where. Same way in a non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer. This is what we have here in race number 6. This isn't just for Keeneland. This is no matter where you play. Go to Churchill next. You go to Ellis this summer. In a non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer, I like the horses generally who have the best maiden win on paper. Non-winners of 2 lifetime means they all have 0 or 1 wins. You wouldn't want a maiden in this kind of race. You want a horse who has 1 victory. Of the race they won, who won the best race? Even if it was 4, 5, 6, 10 starts back, this is like who's got the biggest trophy on the board, and who's won and beat the best competition. I think that's the 2, She's All Class. She's All Class was a maiden special weight winner here at Keeneland last year. You look back at what the other horses in this race have done. Yo Puedo beat maiden claimers. Byzantine beat maiden claimers. Silverleaf won a maiden special at Churchill in June towards the end of the meet. I think the Keeneland is a much better win than a Churchill win in June in the maiden special. Pout won a maiden claimer. Pentagon has a maiden special weight at Keeneland. I think that one ranks right up there as the other best win on paper. Lily's Creed won a maiden claimer, $30,000, and DeJoria won at Woodbine in a maiden optional claimer. So the 2 horses in this race that have won maiden specials at Keeneland are the 6 Pentagon and the 2 She's All Class. Then you've got the 4 in here, Silverleaf winning a maiden special at Churchill. So those are the 3 best wins on paper by these horses. And so you're going to see the way I've got it, 2, 6, and 4, non-winners of 2 lifetime. Give me the 2 horses that won maiden specials at Keeneland over the horse who won the maiden special at Churchill. That's the way I'm going to stack them up here. As we look across, She's All Class, also the top pick for Scott. Silverleaf, the top pick for Gabby and Kim and Tom. So really 2 and 4 are the only 2 horses that get a top choice in here. I think the 6 Pentagon is definitely usable though. So if you're taking multi-race wagers, I think you go a couple in here. She's All Class I like on top. This is a gun runner who should stretch out. Gun runners are usually better, I think, going a little longer. This one's been running 6 furlongs. I think stretching out in distance, inside, Luis Saez, aggressive jock. I think She's All Class is going to be the best price maybe of this group, and I think that's the one to beat. The 1, the 5, and the 7 seem to have some cheap speed. She's All Class could probably just sit in there 2nd or 3rd. You don't want to be too far back in 1 mile and a 16th with a short stretch run, but I like the 2. I like the 6. The 6 is going to come from a little bit further off the pace probably. And Silverleaf, the 4, is kind of pace versatile. This horse could be up near the lead. Use all 3 of them if you can afford it in your multi-race wagers. But for me, the top pick is She's All Class. I'm going to try to get this one as one of my key plays of the day. Again, the best winner among the non-winners of 2 lifetime group. Give me She's All Class, the 2 horse. 7th race up next is the 2nd leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It's race number 7 of 9 on the program. Turf Mile allowance race here. This is a tough one. I think there's some good options in here. The 1, Bodica, is going to be my top choice, and I'm on the island here. I like that. The other handicappers have gone different directions. Tammy Tap is picked. Valencia's picked. Be My Sunshine. So the 1, 3, 5, and 7 are all picked here in this field of 12 among 5 public handicappers. 4 different horses picked on top. That tells me this is a pretty wide open race. Valencia for Chad Brown, the 3 is probably going to get bet heavily. She won her debut at Chantilly in France last year in November. Makes her first start of the year. Turf Miles is usually a good place for horses to make the first start of the year at Keeneland successfully. It's Chad Brown, Irad Ortiz, a lot to like there. But one of the reasons I like the 1 in here, Bodica, is because this horse could be running at Woodbine. Josie Carroll trains. She gets Joella Rosario at a ride. Woodbine opened last week, and Josie Carroll is one of the top trainers in Canada. She's only run 14 horses so far this year. She doesn't have many that she keeps in the winter in trainings. Most of her horses would be coming back to run at Woodbine. This horse got 1 race under its belt at Tampa Bay Downs in March. And with the purses at Woodbine being as strong as they are, and the competition seriously easier than what we have at Keeneland, I think it's an aggressive and confident move to see Bodica, the one in this race. Josie Carroll running at Keeneland now instead of taking the easier route with this runner at Woodbine. And then she gets Joelle Rosario to ride. I smell a good effort here. Second start off the layoff, and this horse improved throughout the form cycle last year after getting a couple starts under the belt. I'm on this filly in here, Bodica. She's a 3-year-old filly in a race where everybody in here is 3-year-old fillies. So I like it. She gets the rail. She gets Rosario. I think she's going to be finishing strong. And we're on the island with a nice price. So let's try to get this one home in race number 7. This could be a good one for us here on the program. And that's, as we look at our key plays, we've got a price here with Bodica, and we've got a couple key plays still to come behind it. If you're looking at the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, I think you definitely want to use Venencia in here. The 5 Be My Sunshine, you could certainly make a decent case for the 5. The 4 in here, Gromantine for Grand Motion, also kind of second off the layoff, second start in the U.S. You can make a good case there. So there are some options to choose from in here, but Bodica, the 1, and the 3 Venencia, I think, are the must-uses in the multi-race wagers. I didn't use Tammy Tap Tap Tap, and this is horse for Phil Bauer coming off the Valdale Stakes, sprinting on the main at Turfway. The Turfway horses have had a much better meet on the grass than we've ever seen here at Keeneland in a spring meet. We thought they'd have a good meet because it was an improved stock at Turfway this winter. Had no idea they'd do as well in the turf as they have. So Tammy Tap 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 here, going from the synthetic, the Tapeta to the turf here. Might be a move that works. It's worked a lot this meet for the Turfway shippers. So she's by Candy Ride. No reason on that pedigree that she wouldn't like any surface. The Candy Rides run on just about anything. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. There are some good options in this race. I'll take the 1 Bodica on top, get a little bit of coverage because I think we can kind of narrow down a little bit, or at least try to get some nice focused plays in here on the last 2 races on the card. The final 2 on the card are our races 8 and 9. These are our races that we have kind of spotlighted in here. So we'll read the trainer intent there on Josie Carroll's horse, and we also have it with Ain't Broke. Brett Calhoun sends this one out in race number 8, and that's going to be one of our key plays in here. Ain't Broke, the 1, is a horse who's not picked by many here across the way, but I like the fact here that Brent Calhoun's got this runner with 2 entries in the race. And this is where we talk about the trainer intent. He's got the 1 Ain't Broke and the 7 Non-Violence. Whenever you have a 7-horse field like this, a lot of times the racing office may have been struggling to get enough horses to make the race fill. They might have had 4 or 5 horses. And if we want to make this race go, as they say in the racing office, we're going to need somebody to enter some horses. When you have a small field of 7 like this and one trainer's got a couple entries, chances are they really liked somebody. They needed more horses to fill the race, and they said, okay, I'll throw a second one in because I've got one that's live, and I think they're ready to run. I think that horse might be Ain't Broke. I really like the chances of Ain't Broke in this race. Corey Lannery rides from the rail, turning back from sprint or from route to sprint. This horse sprinted very well at Keeneland last year in the fall meet, ran a good second behind You're So Silly in a pretty darn strong race. That was a Lowndes Company similar to this. Now, after coming off the turf route races, cutting back in distance, Ain't Broke, and that trainer intent. Brett Calhoun also has Non-Violence in this race. Non-Violence has been off since February, a horse who's been beaten favored in 2 straight. If that's the horse that he's counting on for this particular race, then I'm reading the tea leaves wrong. But I think it's the 1 Ain't Broke is the one that we're leaning on here. And I'm going to take the shot in here with the 1 Ain't Broke, who should love 7 furlongs. We look across the way in race number 8 at the other handicappers. I'm the only one with Ain't Broke on top. Scott's got that one third. So we should get a little bit of a price here. Tales of Home, couple top picks, Story Hour, Non-Violence. So the 1, 2, 6, and 7 in a 7-horse field, 4 different horses are picked on top. So Scott's got the other Brett Calhoun in here. One of us is reading it right. He's got both of them in the top 3 as I do. So we're kind of seeing the same thing. We're just trying to figure out which one's the live horse amongst that group. Tales of Home, the 6 is Dallas Stewart trainee, coming off some races at Oaklawn, picks up Tyler Gaffleone. Not a pairing you see a ton here at Keeneland where Stewart gets Gaffleone, so that's a good sign. And this one is out of Pleasant Home, the fantastic mare. Pleasant Home spinster winner here at Keeneland, I believe. Pleasant Home was either pre-poly track or right before the poly track, but she was a good one for Shug McGahee. excellent breeding on the 6 Tails of Home there in race number 8. Let's go to the 9th and final here as we've got 3-year-olds and up going a mile and 3/16 on the turf in Maiden Special Weight Company. You know, the 3-year-olds this time of year are a little risky play taking on the elders. They do get a weight allowance, and it's 8 pounds in this race, which is pretty significant when you're going a mile and 3/16. So the 3-year-olds are carrying 118. The elders are carrying 126. But even with that 8-pound allowance, I'll take the development over a mile and 3/16 on turf. I want to lean towards the older horses in this particular race, and I'm going to the 12 Border War. It's been a great year on turf for Shug McGahee here at Keeneland. He won with 5 of his first 10 turf starters. It's been Shug's lawn, as we say, and it's our final hot pick of the day. Our key play is race number 9. Shug's turf. He's got Border War trying to keep it in his back pocket. The sire Warfront had a really good meet with winners on the grass. I know we got to give up 8 pounds because we're a 4-year-old against some of the younger horses, but give me Gaffleon and Shug come from behind on the turf. So I don't mind the outside post position so much for Border War with a come from behind style. They're going to let everybody kind of flow out of there and then try to come make a run. Tom Leach is also on that same one. Gabby's got him picked second. As for the others in this race, the 3 Monjid should be one of those where you don't have to think about a lot here. Monjid's got some inside speed. They add blinkers, going to go to the front and try to take him as far as he can. This is a 4-year-old again with, probably a little more of a miler's pedigree, but did run well at a mile and an 1/8 here over the turf at Keeneland. So a horse who's liked the course in the past and should get an easy trip. This pace should be slow. A lot of these horses don't want to go a mile and 3/16, obviously. So I think Monjid might get a pretty easy trip under Florent Giroux from the 12 and be a major contender in here. If Hidden Path draws in off the also eligible list, off a nice debut, this hard spun colt should be considered in here for Todd Pletcher. But you're getting a 3-year-old out of the far outside post with some early speed. That gives you a little bit of a chance and a fear that horse might get caught wide on the turn. So Hidden Path certainly one to watch if he gets in. We'll have to see how many scratches it might take for the horse to get, a reasonable post position for the style. When I've got a horse way on the outside on the turf, I want him to be a come from behind horse rather than a horse who shows speed. Just drop back, get over, save some ground, and then see what you can do with the run. That's what we're hoping to happen with number 12 in the finale, the Shug McGahee trained Border War. That's going to wrap up our coverage for the card for Thursday, April 27th. Again, a couple reminders here. No major carryovers for tomorrow. Weather expected to be 70 degrees with an 80% chance of showers, but they're forecasted to come 5 o'clock and beyond. So we might be safe here to get all this card in on a fast track and firm turf going. We'll cross our fingers for that. If you're handicapping ahead towards Friday, it does look like rain, into Thursday night, into Friday. There's a reasonable chance that on Friday, we hope to keep the stakes race, obviously, on the turf Friday when we've got the Bewitched Stakes with Warlike Goddess returning. Can't wait to see her, one of my favorites. We hope maybe we can keep that turf stakes on for Friday. But if you're handicapping far ahead towards the Friday card, keep an eye on the weather updates, things like that. Be loose, be versatile for some off-turf potential situations on Friday. But it looks like, fingers crossed, we'll be okay for the Thursday card. If not, we'll blame the forecasters, right? We always have that to fall back on. That's going to wrap it up for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night for the season finale for us on the Keeneland Look Ahead. Tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern on Wednesday night. We will preview the Thursday night. We will preview the Friday card to wrap up the season. Glad you joined us tonight. Good luck at the races tomorrow, and we'll see you at 8:30 on Thursday.